Hello, good game. Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. Are you ready for the banned and restricted announcements for Magic the Gathering? We have standard, historic, and alchemy articles to go through. Buckle up, get ready, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's take a look at some of these changes. All right, so here we are with terrible transition today, but it is what it is. We're back. January 25th, 2022 banned and restricted announcements. Standard. Alrund's Epiphany, banned. Divide by Zero, banned. Faceless Haven, banned. Oh my lord, that is absolutely ridiculous. Divide by Zero, really happy to see go. Honestly, it is in every single deck. It is so freaking good, Randy. Alrund's Epiphany, you know, this needs no explanation, right? Double turns, stop it. Faceless Haven, though, now that is more interesting because you know, I guess everybody's running it. They're upset that no one's running the other MDFC lands because Faceless Haven is just so good, right? We have a legacy as well. I guess that's not something I actually expected to talk about here. The Pilferer, Nimble Pilferer, for one, the 2/1. That's interesting. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token and exile the top card of your library until end of turn. You may cast that card, dash for 2. So that is actually very interesting. That's a really nice 1 mana value there. Historic, Memory Lapse is now banned from Suspended. They've decided it's just far too powerful. Teferi, the Time Raveler, has been rebalanced and unbanned. Oh my lord and savior, Teferi. Each opponent can only cast spells anytime they could cast a sorcery. Love it. That stayed the same. 3 mana, 4 loyalty. Didn't it only have 3 before? Anyways, +1 until your next turn. You may cast spells as though they had flash. That's perfect. That's one of the best parts of the card. And -3, return up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand. Draw a card. We're gonna have to check out how this has been rebalanced, or maybe this is the old version, and we're gonna get a new version. We're gonna take a look at that in a second. Effective tabletop date is today. An effective Magic Online and Arena date will be the 27th. So you get a couple days to spend your wild cards on the banned cards, play with them, play with them, play with them, and then get them refunded while having those cards remain in your collection, which is pretty cool. A list of all the banned and restricted cards by format is here. And then they're talking about standard, how Alrund's Epiphany, Alrund's Epiphany, Alrund's Epiphany, Alrund's Epiphany, Alrund's Epiphany. It seems kind of like they've played the game a couple times, right? So, you know, the red, blue Epiphany, mono white aggro, mono green aggro, you know, to try to get some new stuff in here, which is pretty cool, and get ready for Kamigawa, right? Kind of setting the stage. Divide by Zero is absolutely ridiculous. They're mentioning Lear, Disciple of the Drowned, and Hullbreaker, right? So they're choosing not to ban these new money-making cards, right? You don't want to ban the Hullbreaker Horror. People are flipping those like crazy. And then they'll get to those ones in a year, right? Just like they left Alrund in the game for damn near a year, we'll get to the Hullbreaker Horror a little bit later. We know it's an issue. We've mentioned it, but we're not going to deal with it. And then Faceless Haven. Legacy, I don't really care too much about. I'm not a Legacy player. If you guys want me to be covering other formats, though, it's something I can learn. Obviously, I'm doing this for a living. Let me know in the comments below. Historic, you know, this is Memory Lapse, Teferi. I got to read a little bit about the rebalance here because I want to see about this. So we get in now to the Alchemy rebalancing for January 27th. This is our second article. And I'll have these listed in the description below if you want to kind of comb through them on yourself. Really, we're just looking for the information. So the buffs, the Arclich, pretty cool. This is a 5/5. Removed opponent's option to sacrifice a creature on the attack trigger. Makes it a little bit better, I guess. Assemble from parts. Lowered the overall cost. Now requires 2 black mana on the perpetual, and this is a fantastic card. Like, I don't think this need to be made better, but you can assemble from parts your Blood Artist and bring that back, and I really like that. I'm familiar with this. The Blood Rage Alpha, they've increased from a 4/3 to a 4/4. I think this is a fantastic card if you're playing it with Arlen, as she has Indestructible. She's a 5/5, so that fight effect will be really high value there. I like that. The Gargoyle. I mean, really, you guys, you're going to try to make Venture a thing. It's only 2 mana now instead of 3, which is really cool. And it's a 0/3 instead of a 0/4. So it's going to be a 3/3 with flying. But for 2 mana, that actually does become much more attractive. The Dungeon Descent, honestly, who cares? Removed, enter the battlefield tapped. Costs 1 mana to activate from 4 mana. Wow! That is a serious adjustment. You know what I mean? That is a crazy, crazy, crazy adjustment. Then we have Eliwick. Her minus ability, the ultimate, is now 6 instead of 7. Whatever. No one's going to be running Venture anyways. Fate's Reversal, lowered cost from 2 to 1, which is pretty cool. And find the path. Rules adjustment now adds 2 mana of any one color from adding double green. So that actually makes it much more playable, right? Puppet Razor. Interesting. 3/4 from a 3/3. You know, going to survive some of that removal, which is pretty cool. I don't really mind that. The Precipitous Drop from 3 down to 2. Decent. More Venture. They really want you guys to be playing with these Venture cards. It's a 2/1 now instead of a 1/1, and that is a good change. Like, this thing was swinging in for 1 damage already, being a nuisance, and now it's going to be swinging in for 2 because Death Touch First Strike, right? So that's a very, very powerful edit here. Divide by 0 only learns if target spell or permanent was mana value 4 or less. Interesting. Okay, so Divide still legal in Alchemy, banned in Standard, but we get the adjusted card, and I still think it's a very good card, right? Really cool stuff there. Fearsome Whelp. Frick off, dragons. Now triggers on upkeep from end step, gains haste. Okay. This is actually a fair, give and take here. So gains haste, which is incredible. A 1/1 for 2. Smackdown. It's a dragon, right? That's really nice. However, the upkeep, this is so good because it's not immediately. Like, enters turn, you have to remove it immediately or they're reducing dragons. It's you get a turn. You get your own turn to remove it before their upkeep starts again, which is really good. Yeah, get out of here, Hallbreaker Horror. I'm really glad to see this gone. Removed, the spell can't be countered. Who cares when Lear the Disciple is in play anyways, though? You know what I mean? LOL. The Captain added if you cast and to enters the battlefield ability. Interesting. So let's read this. We're making it more difficult to overwhelm the board with Inquisitor Captain. The interactions with cards such as Glasspool Mimic in Alchemy and Soul Herder in Historic made it too difficulty for creature-based decks to attack advantageously without relying on flying, forcing them to ignore the combat altogether. Okay, so when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, okay, so you do have to cast it, which is really, really cool. And there are 20 more creatures in your graveyard, whatever, with mana value 3 or less. Seek. Put one of them into the battlefield and then shuffle. Okay, so I do think that this is a lot better, right? It's going to, I think, isn't the Glasspool Mimic still a casting cost, though? I know in my brain that they're stopping that because that's what they're talking about. But doesn't the glass pool, but it's not being cast. It could still be an Inquisitor Captain from your hand, but if it's being played from the library, right, that's what's happening. Okay, so if there's any confusion there, the Glasspool Mimic can still copy the Captain if you cast it from your hand. But if you're playing it from your library, that's not casting it. To be more clear, the Disciple of Drowned, add during your turn to the. That's what I said. I said this for months and months and months and months and months and months. Oh my gosh, I'm glad that I don't know if anybody listened, but maybe someone's a fan, right? I said that Hallbreaker should be during your opponent's turn, and I said Lear should be during your turn, and then you don't have access to the graveyard on your turn and their turn. That makes it way too powerful, right? So if it was just one player's turn, and then the Hallbreaker should only bounce things, it doesn't give you access to the grave, but it should still be the opposite turn as Lear, and it should continue to do those bounce things, but only on one turn. That is so sick. Very, very cool. The Brushstroke removed life gains from sacrificing blood token trigger. Interesting. But the opponent still loses life. Maybe that's the part that they should have nipped in the butt, but to each their own. Removed life gain from sacrificing blood token trigger. Whenever you sacrifice a blood token, each opponent loses 1 life. There is no life gain in here. So are they just talking about... Or this is the new version, right? The old version had the you gain 1 life, they lose 1 life. This is the new version that doesn't say that. Getting confused. The Town Raiser Tyrant. Cool. So they're really addressing a lot of things here, which is nice. Add non-basics as targeting restrictions. Okay, this fixes it. Like, this is really good. Because now you're not just targeting all their land. It's non-basics, which still, you know what I mean? You're going to be targeting those dual lands. There's so many pathways. There's so many of the dual lands that you're going to still be able to take care of it. However, you know, the mono white deck, the mono green deck, they might kind of get through now a little bit better. And then card legality, Teferi, balance adjustment, now legal and historic, costs 4 from 3. Now has 5 starting loyalty instead of 4. So we were looking at that old card to start today's video. Static ability becomes your opponent can't cast spells during your turn. Which is pretty decent, right? So the new static ability will stop Finale of Promise and Dreadhorde Arcanist, right, from working, which is pretty cool. And, you know, I really like Teferi. I think that plus ability to give your sorcery spells flash is fantastic. I really, really like that. So I might even just play some historic to get on this Teferi shenanigans. So, you know, that's kind of what we have going for bans. So Teferi back in the game. I absolutely love it. Town Raiser fixed pretty effectively. I think that one gets a check mark for me as well. Brushstroke, yeah, sure, okay. I mean, that's a nice change of things a little bit, right? That's going to help. You know, maybe they shouldn't have lost life either. I don't know. Maybe it should have just made a blood token and given you the blood artist. But that question mark here. I think Lear, you know, this is a nice fat check mark by me. The captain's a good check mark. They fixed that. Hullbreaker Horror is, you know, another, it can be countered now, which is great, but I still think that those abilities should be limited to one of the turns, whether it be your own turn or your opponent's turn. The Whelp, I think, you know, this is an amazing fix. There's a check mark, divide by 0. At least they're addressing it. So this one's kind of like, maybe it could have caused 4, but I guess, you know, the learn ability was really powerful too, but you know, you're going to be learning cards 4 or greater, you know, frequently. The Trumpet Adventure double checkmark. This thing is very powerful. That's a good boost. The drop, don't care about the the Puppet Raiser. You know, it survives a little bit, but I still don't think it's being played. I do think the Find the Path has really gone up in value to add any mana. That's really good in combo decks, probably. Fate's Reversal, meh, whatever. You know, Eliwick, meh, whatever. Don't care. The Dungeon Descent, this is a nice old fat check mark. That's really good. The Gargoyle gets a check mark. That's nice. Blood Rage, I can agree with the increase here. I really do like that. Assemble from Parts, you know, I actually don't think this needed to be increased in power. I think it was totally okay. I played with it in a few decks, and I really, really like it. So expect to see a lot of that being played, right? And then the Arclich, you know, who cares? I just don't care about Venture, Wizards. You know, no one's going to play Venture no matter how good you make it, all right? That's just my opinion, of course. And we did have the standard bans as well, which is pretty cool. So let me know what you guys think. Are you happy to see Alrund's Epiphany go? Are you happy to see Divide by 0 go? Faceless Haven go from standard, kind of making it a more enjoyable environment for us heading into Kamigawa on February 12th. Super excited for this. I believe we have spoilers starting tomorrow. Say what? So it's going to be a fun couple weeks while we wait. We have theory crafting for new decks, which is really exciting. Of course, all the new artwork and lore coming out as well. So let me know what you guys thought. If you want more of this in-depth and other formats cover stuff like that, you know, don't be afraid to share your opinions for the channel. I'm always looking to improve it. Most importantly, have a magical day, you guys. Don't forget to like the video on your way out and maybe even subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more content. Take care.